Well, good morning, everyone. I don't know if you realize it, but in less than 2 weeks, on Friday, June 21st, it's the official start of summer. How many of you enjoy summer? Some of you? All right. Some of you more than others. That's good. And you know, as a person, I love summer. I love summer for many different reasons. First, I love the warm weather. I don't know if it's just because I'm getting older, but I just like when it's hotter, it's better for me, and I just love it. Also, I like getting out and being near water, and that's a little bit more enjoyable when it's in the summer, you know. I don't care whether it's a lake or the ocean. I like just getting out by the water and getting some time on a beach somewhere. There's plenty of sunshine. Summer is also a great time to travel, to take vacations. I'm looking forward this summer to going and visiting my family, and that's when I'll travel back north because there's no snow at that time anymore, so I don't have to worry about that. It's also a time of year where there's a lot more light. Right? The days are longer. You have more time to enjoy the days. And I don't know if it's a scientific study has ever been done, but I just think ice cream tastes better during the summer. You know, it just does. It's a good thing. And so I will splurge and do ice cream at the summer. So as a person, I love summer. But as a pastor, I have to tell you, I've struggled with summer. I've struggled to enjoy it. There's been times early on when I actually didn't look forward to summer at all. And you struggle. And I'm sure some of you can probably guess the reason why, right? And you can say, oh, it's because attendance drops during the summer, right? We always know that attendance drops, because people travel and do all that. And early on that kind of bothered me a little bit, but it really doesn't bother me anymore. Because I know it's an important time to travel. It's an important time to go and enjoy God's creation and do all that. So that's not really it. I've learned to deal with that. So others will say, okay, then, I know what it is. Right? What do you think it is then? It's because what drops during summer? Giving. Somebody says, it's the giving. The giving drops. I mean, giving drops like a rock during the summer, right? More than, you skip rocks and you see them go sink down. It's like, giving drops faster than a rock in a pond. And I won't lie, seeing giving drop is difficult to handle as a pastor when you see that going on. But again, that's not the main reason why for me anymore, because just so you know, I've survived over 20 summers as a pastor, okay? And every year, God seems to provide. Sometimes, you get right to that edge. You're like, oh, no. And other times, but every single time, God has provided. Now, please don't get me wrong. Just because I share with you our 20 different summers and God providing, that's not an excuse not to give during the summer so that you can travel more or do anything else. Travel, do all that, but we still need to pay the bills during the summer. I mean, I'm just going to call it like it is. We're very honest here. But again, the real issue for me as a pastor is not the giving, though it's important. The real issue, why many pastors who've been in ministry for some time, you learn to deal with these things, you see God provide, you do all this, but the reason that you still struggle at times is really because it becomes a time for too many Christians to not live fully for God anymore. That's the real reason. It becomes, the pastors can struggle to enjoy summer because this season for too many Christians becomes a break from living fully for God. It happens and you see it and it breaks your heart. And it shouldn't be this way. The Bible is clear that we are to make the most of every opportunity that we are given. Are we not? We are commanded even. It's a command to make the most of every opportunity. For example, take a look at what it says in the book of Ephesians. It states, "Be very careful then how you live, not as unwise, but as wise, making the most of every opportunity because the days are evil." Okay? There's a lot that people have to deal with out in life, right? And we're to be the salt and light out in the world. We're to help people. And things are very challenging. We're to be making the most of every opportunity. You can also turn to Colossians chapter 4, verse 5. There it says this. Again, be wise in the way you act towards outsiders. Make the most of every opportunity. Those who, when it says outsiders, those who are, maybe haven't come out to church, those who, are considering faith, say, be wise in that. Make the most of every opportunity you have to talk with them, share with them, help them. And it says in Galatians chapter 6, therefore, as we have opportunity, let us do good to all people, especially to those who belong to the family of believers. It says, listen, we're to be making sure that we always are there to help. We're always there to do things and to serve and to be there for one another. And especially our church family and then reaching out beyond. anytime there is an opportunity to grow, anytime there's an opportunity before us to grow, to help others come to faith, to help meet the needs of others in our church, we are to make the most of it. It's very clear. And you know what? Summer presents amazing opportunities for spiritual growth. It really does. Not long ago, I read a study that said more people are open to trying new things during the summer, okay? And as a result, they are more willing to try out church. Maybe people you've been inviting all during the rest of the year, they're not willing to come out to church, but then, summer is a break from regular routine, break from doing all this stuff, and they say, I'll come to church. And it's a great time to invite. Not only that, but other people are more open to learning and growing in their faith due to the optimism that summer brings. Okay? So summer really is an amazing time of year. And it all makes sense. People see summer as a time to get re-energized, a time to refresh. And many people realize there's no better way to do that than to grow closer to God. Wouldn't you agree? No better way to do that. It's not that it's a means, but it's an outflow of that. We're to have that relationship, and we're to be growing in that relationship. And we know that if we really want to have the strength that we need, true strength, true joy, true peace, we just covered it the last number of weeks, did we not? The difference that Christ makes in our lives, that's all there. And summer is a great opportunity. During the summer, like I shared, we break from regular routines. We become more adventurous. People will try church. People will try things. So it all seems logical. But let's just say that summer doesn't present any more of an opportunity for spiritual growth than any other time of the year. It's still an opportunity nonetheless, right? Still an opportunity. And that's because we're to make the most of every opportunity, and these opportunities don't stop just because summer rolls around. Summer is not a time of exception. We're to be growing year-round. We are to be helping others year-round. We are to be living fully for God each and every day. Summer is not meant to be a time where we take a vacation from God. But it happens. People take a vacation from their faith. If anything, summer should be a time where we renew our commitment to God. And we renew our faith. And we get re-energized. It should be a time where we live in such a way where our lives would bring about the same reaction that the Apostle Paul had when he was writing to the Christians living in Philippi when they renewed their concern for him. And you say, what was that reaction? And why did he have it? Well, let's turn there and take a look at Philippians chapter 4. This will help you see a little bit more glimpse behind the heart of a pastor, and really a glimpse behind, and the pastors are no better or anything. They're just representatives of how really it should reflect all of our hearts. But I want to give you this glimpse. Look at what it says, starting at verse 10. We're going to spend a little time here. This is what the Apostle Paul wrote to Christians living in Philippi. He says, I rejoice greatly in the Lord that at last you renewed your concern for me. He said, indeed, you were concerned, but you had no opportunity to show it. I am not saying this because I'm in need, for I have learned to be content whatever the circumstances. I know what it is to be in need, and I know what it is to have plenty. I've learned the secret of being content in any and every situation, whether well-fed or hungry, whether living in plenty or in want. I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. Yet it was good for you to share in my troubles. Moreover, as you Philippians know, in the early days of your acquaintance with the gospel, when I set out from Macedonia, not one church shared with me in the matter of giving and receiving, except you only. For even when I was in Thessalonica, you sent me aid more than once when I was in need. Not that I desire your gifts. What I desire is that more be credited to your account. I have received full payment, and I have more than enough. I am amply supplied now that I've received from Epaphroditus the gifts you sent. They are a fragrant offering, an acceptable sacrifice, pleasing to God. And my God will meet all your needs according to the riches of his glory in Christ Jesus. To God our Father, and be glory forever and ever. Amen. You see, as Paul was closing this letter to the Philippians, he wanted to convey his deep appreciation to them for the recent gifts that they had sent with Epaphroditus, okay? And he began this final section of the letter by expressing his joy that they, as he states, revived their concern for him. And the words that are used here paint a picture of like flowers blooming. That's the kind of, in the original language, that's the language that's used, flowers blooming. So it's almost like it's great that your concern for me has beautifully bloomed once again. And Paul goes on to state that he understands that they have always been concerned, but didn't have an opportunity to demonstrate it until that moment. And then he does something. He qualifies his appreciation by saying, I'm not saying this because I'm in need. He's not saying it because of how it impacted him. He learned the secret of being content. Well-fed or hungry, plenty or want. He said, I can do all things through Christ. It's not about the fact that he's saying that his needs were supplied for. And that was like, now that you came through, I'm happy. It was something different. I don't know if you caught it. Paul's words of appreciation were not generated by the fact that he was facing hardship, which he was. Do you know where he was when he wrote this? In jail, that's right. And he had needs. And yes, he could use the financial help. And yes, Paul says later that he was now amply supplied because of the gifts. But the fact that he was in need and their gifts met his needs was not the main cause for his joy. Do you want to know what it was? He shared it when he wrote, not that I desire your gifts. What I desire is that more be credited to your account. What? How does that make sense? If anything, if they were giving gifts, less was in their account, right? So how is that? See, for Paul, his joy came from the fact that he knew that their renewed concern meant that they were growing spiritually. They were growing spiritually. It not only demonstrated genuine care and concern, but through it they were participating in furthering God's purposes here on earth. And this was his greater priority. He knew through their faithfulness, the gospel was going out. And they were growing as a result. Because whether you realize this or not, giving is a key part of how we grow spiritually. If you don't give, you're not growing as you should be. I'm going to call it like it is. It's the truth. You'll see that a little bit more. You'll say, where is that? I'll show you. But that's not the main thing. See, it wasn't his own needs, but their spiritual growth and what it meant to furthering God's kingdom. And in the same way, when it comes to summer, the real concern is not maintaining numbers. It's not maintaining numbers. It's about us continuing to live fully for God. Like I shared, I've seen it happen over and over again. 20 plus summers. I know I'm dating myself. You know, I started in ministry when I was 5. But I'm dating myself. No, I didn't. 10. But I was, you know, I've seen it over and over again. And that's the thing. It's like, it's not about that. And I'll just be perfectly blunt. My wife has a great job. Okay? So I'm not worried personally. I'm not worried about these things. I've seen God provide. But it's still, you struggle. Because you have a passion to see what this God has called this church into existence. As Joseph said, the incredible diversity that's here, the oneness, the unity, everything that God is doing, and what the plans that he has. And when you see that be put potential at jeopardy, as a pastor, you go, no. It can't happen. That's where the burden comes from. That's why pastors have a love-hate relationship with summer. Love it. I get to go on vacation. And then usually when you go on vacation, something happens. Pastor, you better get back here. Well, giving's kind of going down. It's going to be okay. People are here. They're traveling. It's okay. We can love the season and even be excited about the opportunity it brings for spiritual growth, but often it becomes just burdensome. And so much so that there are pastors who start to believe that line from that song lyric. That's where I got the title from, Summertime Blues. I remember it from, I used to listen to a lot of rock and roll, I still do. And, it was The Who. Any Who fans here, Okay, if you watch even some TV, you see it on theme shows or whatever, But The Who, and they sang the song, there ain't no cure for the summertime blues, right? Okay, but it's a good song, right? And I never really listened to the songs, didn't really, but I just remember, there ain't no cure for summertime blues, yeah. And then as a pastor, I'm like, yeah. And then, but I've seen that, some pastors get the mindset and the attitude like, yeah, there ain't no cure. The summer drop, it has a term, It's called the summer slump. It's something that's well talked about, the summer slump. And they think the summer slump is almost like a law of nature. Like there's gravity, there's, the sun up in the sky, and there is the summer slump. And it's like, and they believe that there's no cure for that. There ain't no cure for the summertime blues, but I'm here to tell you there is a cure. Okay? There is a cure. To make the most of the summer, we simply need to stay engaged. Anyways, I'm going to describe that more this morning. See, here at the Bridge, we've identified 5 ways that the Bible has showed us that we are to live in order to stay engaged. Okay? And so as we approach the summer, I want us to spend time looking at these 5 ways so we can seize the opportunity for spiritual growth that the summer presents to us. And I'm going to give you action steps that we can take as well, correlating to those 5 areas. And those 5 areas all have one word that corresponds to each and every one of them, okay? I'll say them right now, but we'll go through them one by one. It's seek, connect, serve, invite, and give. There's 5 words there. There's not just one. Seek, connect, serve, invite, and give. So let's go through those and see what we have on that. We can't go fully into all these things, but just to kind of give you an overview. First way we're to stay engaged is to seek. And what I'm referring to here is that we're to take steps to, in a sense, just grow closer to God. And obviously there are so many different ways of doing this. One of the main ways is attending church. Being faithful to attend when we're not traveling, doing all those things. But that's not the only way, and it's not meant to be the only way, okay? And we shouldn't feel guilty if, we travel. A lot of you are like, I'm glad I'm here this Sunday for this message. And those of you who are watching via video or on the internet are going, oh man, I'm not there. It's okay. It's okay. It's all right to travel. You should. We should. God gave us his creation to enjoy. But there's other ways to grow closer to him and that we should be doing it. We're to be growing closer to God by cultivating our own personal times with him. We should be having that each and every day. Times where, like Jesus, he took time to be alone with the Father. We see this over and over. We see it in Mark chapter 1, for example, where it says, very early in the morning, while it was still dark, Jesus got up, left the house, and went off to a solitary place where he prayed. Got away to pray. Another time in Luke chapter 6, it says, one of those days, Jesus went up to a mountainside to pray and spent the night praying to God. And summer is an excellent time to do this in special ways. You go to a really picturesque place. Isn't that an amazing time to be with God and just enjoy that time? Go down by maybe like a river. Go to the beach. Go somewhere in nature. Go up onto a mountainside and pray. And so when you're not attending, I want you to encourage you to the step to be retreat to quiet places to be with God. Okay? That's a step. You seek God, just take the time this summer to find cool, unique places just to be with. Maybe a special place. It doesn't have to be far. For me, we're blessed. I could walk right outside my back door, and there's this creek that runs. I can just sit there. And when it rains, it becomes a river. And I can't sit there because I'll be swept away. But it's a great place to be there. I'm looking forward to doing this. It's time to get out there. Whether you're out away, you're on vacation, you're home with a staycation. You ever do that, the staycation? Yeah, or whether it's just a normal course of life. Summer is a great time to do that. Spend time reading the Bible, praying, learning, reflecting, meditating on God's word. Use those as special times. I'm looking forward to doing this even more during this summer. I'm not going to go camping. I know that. And those of you who were here last week, you know what I'm talking about. If you weren't here last week or didn't get the message, we got it online. Just go and listen to it. You'll find out why. But, okay, I just want to say one thing. Did anybody notice what it did later that day? I told you! I told you! Every time I camp, it rains, and it rained. So I can't mention that word. If I'm going to go to a special place, I'm like, I'm not camping. Just going here to pray. Man, I think God is just sitting there laughing, going, walk outside. Come on, walk outside. And I mean, like, the cloud will follow me wherever I go. Oh, man. But summer is a great time to find fun places to be with God, and I want to encourage you to do that. Second, next way to stay engaged is to connect. And here, what I want to encourage us to do is to reestablish edifying relationships. And I want to describe that. Reestablish edifying relationships. All of us have people in our lives who build us up, people who encourage us, people who energize us. I can't wait to go back to New York because I have family there, and I have friends there. I have two friends in particular, coach and counselor. And when I'm around those guys, there's their nicknames, and they call me Padre. And when I'm around those guys and their wives stuff, and we're there, it's just an energizing time. You can't be around coach and counselor without being like, let's go do life. Let's just go and tackle a hill. They're awesome. And I get that from many of you around here as well as we're forming those relationships. But you got to reestablish those relationships because oftentimes during the year we get caught up in that routine, right? And we can let certain relationships go away. I want to connect with another friend when I go up to New York. His name is Carl. Sometimes I refer to him as Carl because Carl is very big and Carl is strong. But even more than that, he's strong in his faith. And when we get together, it's a really neat time of building one another. So we got to kind of reconnect. And I just remembered, not long ago that I just forgot his birthday. So Carl, you're watching? Happy birthday, belated. But it's just an amazing time. You reestablish those because we all need people in our lives who do that for us. And, the Apostle Paul encouraged us regularly in his letters. For example, to the Christians in Thessalonica, he said, therefore, encourage one another and build each other up, just as in fact as you are doing. Okay? Because the fact of the matter is, life can tear us down. Life can beat us down. It's also because we face temptation all the time. That's why it says in the book of Hebrews, see to it, brothers and sisters, that none of you has a sinful, unbelieving heart that turns away from the living God. But encourage one another daily, as long as it's called today, so that none of you may be hardened by sin's deceitfulness. We all need people who will spur us on, as the Bible says, towards love and good deeds. We need others who will help us become better, not bitter, when life just throws curveballs at us, or people act petty. When people get small-minded and do things that just annoy you. I've had some of that recently. And I'm like, And then they go, you're going to bring out the inner New Yorker in me in about a second. And I go, Lord, help me. And that's why I get around good people who say, hey, it's okay. We need those kind of individuals in our lives. We need to reestablish those relationships. And you know what else? We need to be that kind of person for others. That shouldn't take a break during the summer. Summer is a great time to reestablish those edifying relationships that can be all too easy to neglect during the year. Third way to stay engaged. We'll move through these. Don't worry. You'll get out into the great weather. Is it great out there now? It's still raining, right? It'll be out there. Let's pray right now. Instead, because I mentioned the camping word, that we're going to say that it's going to be sunny now. We'll have the opposite because it was already raining, right? I don't know. Probably not. Okay, third way to stay connected this summer, though, is serve. Serve. Now, here's the thing. Summer is a time when those who serve in certain roles, like maybe you serve in the children's ministry, maybe you serve in stuff, or whatever, and you say, it's a time for me to take a break and do and just kind of refresh. That's okay. That should happen, and that's okay. It's even encouraged, so you stay fresh. But here's the thing. Taking a break from serving in one area doesn't mean that we take a break from serving altogether. Instead, we are to continue, as it says in 1 Peter, that it says what? Each of you should use whatever gift you have received to serve others as faithful stewards of God's grace in all its various forms. We're to be faithful to continue to serve others. It may not be in that same way, but we need to serve. We may do this by inviting people over who we need to connect with or who need us to connect with them. And then you're already fulfilling one of the other ways to stay engaged. You might just say, I'm going to start inviting people. It could be serving in a different area of church, one that maybe you haven't tried before. Maybe it's just on an occasion here or there where it's not a long-term commitment. You say, I'll just try this once. And maybe it's something you think you might be interested in. Some of you might say, I've never served and hang out with junior hires. I think I might try that. And you do, and you go, I'm never trying that again. No, I'm just kidding. Junior hires get a bad rap. It shouldn't be that way. They're great. You might find, because actually it's usually the opposite. People are like, don't go with this junior high. Oh, don't do it. And then some people go in there and think, this is the coolest thing ever. I get to help change a life. Or you may take time to learn how to become better equipped in the area that you serve in normally during the year. Say, maybe, when's the last time you maybe read an article from someone or had taken something where you say, how does that help me to reflect on serving God more? All I'm trying to say here is whatever you do, don't neglect your gift, but instead refresh your commitment to serve. Okay? If it's taking time away and focusing on something else, fine. But just refresh your commitment to serve others. Because the Bible tells us something very important. It says this in the book of Ephesians. It says, for we are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God has prepared in advance for us to do. Now, I don't know if you know it, but that word handiwork can actually be translated masterpiece. You are God's masterpiece. Each and every one of you has a purpose, a plan, a specific personality, gift set, experiences that He wants you to use to bless someone in only the way that you can. God has prepared these things in advance. He has things prepared in advance that He wants us to do. I look at them as almost like missions, little mission, not like missions like traveling overseas and stuff, which is a great thing, but just like little missions. Remember that we got the theme for VBS, right? Mission Possible. You remember that? Anybody remember that show, Dating Yourself, Mission Impossible? Remember? You can do the song, right? Dun, dun, dun. I know Tom Cruise updated and all that stuff, but I'm going old school, right? And you go and you got and it's like, it was almost, you show up, and it's like, what's this? Oh, this, and you get a mission. And it's like really cool. It's like you get surprised that they'd just be going through life. Here, let's go get a cup of coffee. What's this? It's a mission. And they discover, and then it's like, this thing's going to self-destruct in 5 seconds, right? It's like you get to, okay, see you later. But you find out that mission. But here's the thing. Living in a relationship with God is kind of like that. He has put those things out there. And as you go through life, you'll find there is a mission that He has for you that's all possible to fulfill because He's designed it in advance for you. So we need to be prepared to serve, to refresh that commitment. Fourth way to stay engaged this summer is to invite. Be an inviter. Contrary to what many Christians think about the summer, it's actually a great opportunity to invite people to church. A lot of people say, oh, summer's coming. People are traveling. They're all going everywhere. No one's around. It's not the regular time for school. Excuse after excuse after excuse. And say, I'm just not going to invite. Oftentimes, not inviting during the regular time of the year anyway. But even if not, if you say, summer, the mindset of summer is that it's not a good time to invite when it's actually the opposite. And you know why, right? Because summer is a time when what? People like to try new things. And they're more open to attending church. There might be only 2 other times of the year that are more, people are more open. Obviously, Christmas and Easter. But then you say, okay, Christmas and Easter, and everyone's doing that. You know what a lot of churches who get this are doing? Summer series. They're saying, come out in summer. So we have we're going to start next week with a 3-week on prayer, and then after that we're doing a summer series called For Such a Time as This. Studying the book of Esther. It's going to be an amazing time. Tony and I are going to tag team on that one for 11 weeks. You say 11 weeks? Yes. We're going through the entire book. It's going to be awesome. And you say, why would, and I remember, why would you do such a good thing during the summer? Kelly. Of course we would do a great series. Hopefully all of them you're being blessed by. But what I'm trying to say is, you don't say, well, let's just do something, side note, during the summer. Great opportunity. We should actively invite people to church. And even if you're traveling, when you're traveling, you're going out and doing stuff, remember that you can and should share your faith wherever you are. You'll have opportunities. That might be that little mission. You might be going up to, get a little, water on the beach. You're like, hey, and it's like, dun, 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 dun. And somebody says, yeah, hey, how you doing? Good. I'm doing all right. Oh, so what's going on? Well, I just had some things going on. And you maybe have an opportunity to share. Well, when that was happening in my life, this is how I was helped. Well, where'd you learn that from? Well, I go to church. I was studying the Bible or whatever your story might be. Just kind of flows in that. Look for those opportunities. You don't have to manufacture them. It's not like you pick up a fork and say, I was at a fork in the road in my life once. Can I tell you about it? God will make it a little bit easier than that, all right? I'm just saying. But wherever you are, you could be wearing flip-flops on the beach, and that's an opportunity. And here's the thing, because we look at what it says in Romans chapter 10. For there is no difference between Jew or Gentile. The same Lord is Lord of all, and richly bless all who call on him. For everyone who calls on the name of the Lord will be saved. How then can they call on the one they have not believed in? And how can they believe in the one of whom they have not heard? And how can they hear without someone preaching to them? And how can anyone preach unless they are sent? As it is written, how beautiful are the feet that bring good news. You may think you have the ugliest feet on the planet, and you might, because there's some ugly feet out there. I just know. All right? You may have some ugly feet. But here's the thing. If you use those feet, okay, to go and help someone learn about Jesus, they're beautiful no matter how ugly they are. Okay? And so this summer you need to, what I want to call, reignite your passion to invite. Reignite your passion to invite. Use the invitations that we create and put out on those invitation towers. We will label them, but if you don't know what those wooden structures are with the little strings that go across and the things that are clothespin to them, they're invitations for you to take and let somebody know, hey, this is what's going on at the bridge. Hey, I'd like you to go. Hey, I'll show up there. I'll meet you there in the parking lot at, 10:25 or 10:20, and just be ready for service. Invite them to come on out. Say, you like kickball? Did you used to like kickball? You want to try kickball again? Come on to kickball, or whatever it could be. Use the church app. We don't have a church app just to be cool, because it is kind of cool. But we don't have a church app to be cool. We have a church app so that it helps with all these areas to see, connect, serve, invite, give. And you can really, and that one of the features is you can invite people to all the different things that are going on. You should also look for opportunities to share your personal stories about how God has and continues to change your life. And you can read about how to become better equipped and more comfortable with sharing your faith. There are resources out there through like Right Now Media and all that stuff where you can talk about how you can share your faith in a natural, easy way. And if you don't have access to Right Now Media, write that on a connection card and let us know, because we'll get you free access. It is like the Netflix of Christian media. It allows you to search whatever you want and a topic you want with a lot of great teachers and authors and everything out there. It's amazing. Back in the day, it used to be you had to go to a Christian bookstore, right? And I remember going in there, I get lost. I could spend hours there. You go on Right Now Media, you can have everything at your fingertips. Whatever you need to do, reignite your passion to invite people to meet Jesus like you have. And hopefully you do on a daily basis. And finally, the fifth way to stay engaged during the summer is to give, okay? Is to give. And specifically here, what I want to encourage all of us to do is to remember to generously support the vision of our church. And again, the reason is not just because we still have ministry to support. As I shared earlier, you still have bills. Just because it's summer doesn't mean that rent stops, salary stops, or anything else stops. We still need to pay for electricity. We still need to pay for air conditioning. In fact, I was told by Chad last week, only one of the units is working here. And I had somebody out this week to make sure that it was working here. Now, I'm up on stage under the lights, so I'm a little hot, but hopefully you guys are cool. Are you cool? All right. We still have to provide air conditioning. Supplies, everything else it takes to help people come to faith and grow in their faith. It still goes on during the summer. A reality is that, and we'll just spell out, ministry takes money. It does. It takes it. It doesn't change during the summer. But that's, again, not the main reason why. The main reason why we need to give is that God asks us to excel in this area. And don't worry, they're not offended and leaving because I'm talking about giving. They're getting ready to start the music in a little bit. I knew this was going to happen. I knew it. I'm like, when are they going to come up? It's going to be when I'm talking about giving. And people are like, oh, they just offended like 5-10 people. You shouldn't talk about that here. No, we are unashamed of it, because here's the thing. God tells us to excel in this. Look at what it says in 2 Corinthians chapter 8. It says, but since you excel in everything, in faith, in speech, in knowledge, in complete earnestness, and in the love we have kindled in you, see that you also excel in this grace of giving. And the reason is because giving directly impacts our spiritual growth. Look at what it says. It's like you could excel in everything. You could excel at seeking after God, connecting with others in faith, serving, inviting. You could be doing all of this. But you also have to excel in the grace of giving. Some people have the mindset, I serve. I don't need to give. Wrong answer. According to God, we are to excel in every area. He says, look, if you're doing so well in all these areas, excel in the grace of giving. Because, again, it's a spiritual growth thing. The Bible is very clear. It says, for where your what? Where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. And what that talks about, what it's teaching there is that where our treasure is, that reflects our heart, right? It shows where we're really at. If you're really committed to something, you'll see it there. But it also affects our heart. Where your treasure is, there your heart will also. It's almost like a gravitational pull. You know, you have that. It affects our spiritual growth. And not only that, but it also impacts the spiritual condition of others. It's a major part of how we fulfill our vision. You know, with all the other areas, it's one of the 5 areas that's key. And it helps people to fully experience and share an exciting relationship with Jesus. You know, John Maxwell has said it this way, where there is no vision, the people perish. That's a biblical verse. But listen what it adds on. Where there are no resources, the vision perishes. It's true. Where there's no vision, the people perish. But when there's no resources, giving, volunteering, invite, all that, you can have the best vision on the planet. You can have an amazing thing, but it goes away. And so what I want to encourage us to do is to generously support the vision of our church. And one easy way to do this is to automate our giving. Automate your giving. It's where you take a moment to kind of say, I'm going to think about a regular, specific amount that's proportional to my income. Look at the 9 principles you see and say, I'm going to give that set amount. And I'm going to set it up either whether a direct thing from my bank sends a check to the church, or whether I make sure I have a disciplined way of putting it in the giving towers, or I set up through the church app or website, a regular recurring thing through our Subsplash and our app, whatever it is. If it's consistent there, then you can say, because lots of times the concern is there, but it's like I didn't have an opportunity because I wasn't there to hand it in or do something. You just have it automatically set up and you say, oh, this is great. That's why even though we have all these automated things, we don't pass the basket, we still pray because it's an act of worship. But the more we automate, the more we actually can get biblical about it. Because the reality is we oftentimes automate the things that are important to us, don't we? If you have some bills to pay that cannot not be paid and they have to be paid, you set them up on automatic payment to make sure, because if you don't, they're coming after you. Great thing is the church doesn't do that. No, we will not. We will not do that. People who do that, not good. So we're not going to do that. But those are things. Here, like I said, you know, some pastors believe that there ain't no cure for the summertime blues. But I hope along with me you will choose to believe differently. I hope that you will know that this summer slump doesn't have to be a reality. I hope that you'll choose with me to believe that it can be different here at the Bridge, that we can say, you know, it will be different because we will stay engaged. Instead of having a summer slump, we can have a summer surge. We can see things happen in a greater way during the summer, not less. And that's because, again, God has given us the cure. So let's all seize the opportunity that summer presents for spiritual growth. Let's seize it in those 5 ways. 5 words for those 5 steps. We said seek, connect, serve, invite, give. Action steps for this summer, 2019. Retreat. Retreat to quiet places to be with God. Reestablish edifying relationships. Refresh your commitment to serve. Reignite the passion to invite people. And remember to give generously to support the vision. If we do that, we will see an amazing thing happen this summer. And it's going to set us up for this next chapter that's coming. And let me tell you, some exciting things are on the way. Stay tuned, because you're going to start to hear about some amazing things that God is going to be doing in our midst. We're about to enter in a next amazing chapter in ministry for us as a church. and you're going to want to be a part of it. Let's pray. Lord, I thank you so much for this time that we can have these honest discussions as a church family. And for maybe those even here are here maybe just for the first time checking out, Lord, that they see that there's really just an honesty here. And Lord, we are really not about the numbers. Lord, it's about our commitment to you. And we are unashamed to talk about all the different aspects to that. We don't relegate it to just one focused area, but Lord, in all the areas, to be fully engaged. Lord, we want to see, connect, serve, invite, give. We want to do all those things. We want to be fully engaged, Lord. Because we know that you do not take a vacation from us, and we do not want to take a vacation from you. Lord, let this summer be an amazing time in the life of the Bridge. Let it be where we look forward to summer, not just because of the weather, not just because of the ice cream, not just because of the travel and being a family, but because we get to even excel to grow closer to you and see others do the same. Bless our church, Lord, this summer. Let us see you do amazing things. And we pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Worthy of every song we could ever sing, worthy of all the praise we could ever bring, worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. Yeah. Jesus, the name above every other name. Jesus, the only one who could ever save. Worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. Oh, we live for you. Say, holy, holy, there is no one like you. There is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder. Show me who you are and fill me with your heart and lead me in your love to those around me. Say, worthy, worthy of every song we could ever sing. You're worthy, God, worthy of all the praise we could ever bring. You're worthy, worthy of every breath we could ever bring. We live for you. Jesus, the name above every other name. You're the only one. Jesus, the only one who could ever save. You're worthy, God, worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. Oh, we live for you. Say, holy, holy, there is no one like you. There is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder.
out to the world, remember to show your love. Show the love that God has deposited in your heart, even in the summertime. Let's not take a break. Let's be the bridge and bridge people to God everywhere we go and everywhere we sing. Amen. You're dismissed.